So my wife still struggles to explain what I do. And honestly, a lot of the HR leaders I speak to don't know fully either. I work at something called a VMS or vendor management software. And I get it. It sounds like something you'd totally skip past at a conference. But for companies that use temp labor, it's a huge impact. So here's a normal human explanation of what it is. If we were sitting at a dinner table and you asked me what I do, I'd probably say this. A VMS is just a system that companies use to manage temp labor. And that's really it. If you're hiring warehouse workers, manufacturing temps, seasonal help, contractors, and you're using staffing agencies to do it, a VMS sits right in the middle of all that and organizes it. Without one, things can get messy. And some companies run into issues like managers at a local warehouse calling their favorite agency rather than using one that's contracted to work with the company. Rates for the same position might vary by location, and finance gets separate invoices from all the staffing agencies providing labor throughout the entire organization. And that's a huge problem because when leadership asks for something crucial like, what was our total spend for temp labor last quarter, and nobody has a clean answer or it takes days to finalize a number, it can mean the loss of millions of dollars. A lot of the time, no one is doing anything particularly wrong. It just compounds over time, especially as a company grows through mergers or acquisitions. And a VMS fixes that. If a manager needs 5 forklift operators, they log in, submit a request, and all the approved partners, staffing partners, see it at the same time, and candidates get submitted into one centralized system. Interviews are tracked, time is approved inside the system, and invoices roll up to finance automatically. The best part, leadership can see the real-time spend across every location literally at the click of a button. So that's the core idea. It brings structure to something that usually lives in emails and spreadsheets. Now, does every company need one? No. If you have a handful of temps a year, I'd say less than 20, then you're probably fine. That's something that can typically be managed internally without much administrative burden. But if you operate across multiple sites with multiple staffing agencies and are spending millions annually on contingent labor and care about cost control and compliance, then it becomes something that's an absolute no-brainer. A VMS typically shows up in a lot of manufacturing, logistics, retail, healthcare, and really anywhere labor fluctuates and speed matters. And here's what's crazy and what most people don't understand is that this labor category is one of the largest expenses in these businesses. And a surprising number of companies are managing it reactively, meaning that they wait for a big order or a need and rush to fill positions in order to complete production demands. A VMS turns it into something intentional. You can see which suppliers are actually performing, where you're overpaying, which sites are churning through labor, and how fast these roles are getting filled. And once that data is visible, behaviors change. There's always this weird and frustrating dynamic I see on the company side where HR thinks temp labor is a procurement responsibility, procurement thinks it's HR's responsibility, and then operations just assumes the staffing agencies have it all covered. So then it ends up living in this weird gray area. HR gets compliance and process, procurement gets cost visibility and leverage, and operations gets the speed and clarity it's looking for. So when someone asks what I do, I help companies regain control of how they manage temp labor. That's really it. And if you work in HR, procurement, operations, and you're not completely sure how your temp labor is being governed or tracked, that's usually a signal that there's probably more fragmentation than you think. I'm the VMS exec. And if this kind of workforce strategy and content is useful, subscribe for more.